This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike. So I gotta straight up ask, because I know you've been getting reached out to. I'm one of those people. Yo, what's up with New Jersey, bro? Are there aliens? Are there drones?
Don't ask me. I ain't a Jersey guy. I mean, I lived here for
in Jersey,
some years, but
you live in Jersey.
I ain't a Jersey guy.
But you live in Jersey, right?
I do, yeah. Oh, I live here.
So that's why I'm asking. Have you seen anything funky, weird? Anything we're talking about? Any aliens come to your bowling league? You know, mess with your shit.
I don't know. You say aliens, but the rumor that I read about late last week, like Thursday, Friday, was that some elected government official from New Jersey was saying that there's a drone mothership off the coast of New Jersey, and that's where these drones are coming from, and they're doing surveillance of some kind, or I don't know, but people are going crazy out here. Every day there's articles in the paper about where the drones were last night and who spotted the drones and videos of the drones. Friday night, they were over my town. People in my town were going crazy, posting on Facebook, posting videos of the drones, pictures. So, I don't know. I mean,
why Jersey though? Out of all the places, man,
yeah,
like,
who knows?
Yo, I think that's kind of funny though. Like, out of all the places,
I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I enjoy conspiracy theories, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't participate in conspiracy theories, but I listen to them. I hear them out. So, and there's some wild ones out there on this. But yeah, I haven't seen anything or noticed anything. You know, I'm not driving around looking for things either. But yeah, it's definitely the story of the day out here in Jersey, the drones.
there's a lot of call me. Yeah, yo, Rudy, was a crazy week. Rudy, I'll call you, bro. I will, but with the work and holidays and stuff, no excuses. But I was all over the place this week. I will get a call.
We can't do it now anyway.
Yeah,
An interview with the action goat needs proper attention, preparation, and promotion. That's not something that can be thrown together quickly. So
yeah, I'll call you anyway.
Time on that.
We're gonna get some time together in January, Rudy. Well, I'll call you. I promise. Sorry, Mike.
Man.
The drones.
The story of the month. I feel like out here in Jersey. Dude,
I laugh just because it's Jersey out of all the places, and I know how Jersey people are, man. Like they're so out of control sometimes. Like it's just, I heard they're like shooting at them and all kinds of crap. Anyway, all right.
Well, where I'm at in Jersey is so New York. I mean, it's where I'm at is sort of like the demarcation line of like where the New Yorkers move. Like the New Yorkers won't move much further south than where I am. And yeah, it's New York. It's little New York over here. That's what it is in Jersey. I mean, you know this. A lot of the Staten Island, Brooklyn people, they move over here to Jersey. They want the yard, they want the off-street parking, and they move over here. And yeah, it's a lot of New York people over here. So you get that city kind of attitude at times. Like I see it mostly when I'm driving. Like people over here drive like they're driving in the city because that's just what their mindset is. But yeah, if these drones fly around long enough, somebody's going to shoot one down. That's what I'm saying.
It's gonna
If,
happen.
if if they fly around long enough, one of these New York cats is gonna use some kind of homemade homemade drone catcher to take one of these things out and see what's going on. So
It's gonna happen, and I can't wait. I've been following it. I haven't been on social media a lot the last month, but for some reason that the story, I just can't get enough that it's Jersey. I just can't keep talking about it. It's like like why Jersey? I don't know. It's good. It's just funny. And all I can think about is like Mr. X coming out of league and just cursing the drones because he bowled bad, so it was the drone's fault. Like like just I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about your league, Mike. You bowl league this week or what?
I did, and I bowled horribly.
Oh, you didn't bowl in the house shot this week?
Nah, no
Fourth
house shot,
house?
unfortunately. No 760.
Sorry.
More like 560. Yeah, I just bowled terribly, basically. We bowled on the short, and it's really hard. It's really hard because the gutters don't hook, and I've talked about it all season, and we're still really at this point. What I want to know is how many other people are bowling in a Bolero center where they're now not oiling the first 2 feet of the lane.
Are you still on this? This is still a thing here. Still a
I
topic.
am because I'm also being told that scores are severely down in the house leagues in this place this year too. Like the number of 300s, the number of 800s, the general averages are just down across the board. And I attribute it to the same thing. I attribute it to them oiling the lane, starting 2 feet down, and then a house pattern that should be really easy is still easy, but is nowhere near as easy as a regular house pattern where you have free unlimited hook to the right. So I'd be interested to hear from people if they've seen that going on, or if that's something that's going on across the board, or if for some reason that's just taking place in the centers that I bowl in. But it's just strange, and we're trying to get it worked out where they're either going to oil the lanes properly or we're going to try and find new patterns to put out for the second half. But it's just so hard because Bolero moves so slowly. Like getting an answer on whether or not they can move the machine up and oil from the foul line has literally taken us weeks. Like we've been waiting weeks for an answer on whether they're allowed to do that or not, or whether Bolero's corporate is going to give them permission to do that or not. And it's just frustrating.
Wait, so you guys requested that on your sport
We
league for
did,
them?
yeah. We went to the manager and we requested that they oil from the foul line as opposed to 2 feet out,
How
so
did you
that
guys
so that
know
we
that
could
they didn't
see.
though?
So we all right. I'll answer that, but let me say this: we requested that so that we could see if oiling from the foul line would make the patterns play correctly. Right? That's why we originally requested that. So that if it's not that, if that's not what's causing the patterns to play so differently, then we can then make an adjustment with the patterns and change patterns. Okay. Um, we have a comment in the chat from Tony says they've been doing it for years. It doesn't affect the shot. No, they cannot. It is from legal. Okay. All right. And I imagine that it had something to do with legal. But Tony, I got to say, I don't know. I never noticed it before. Uh, I think it is affecting the shot. I definitely think it's affecting the shot because think about it. I mean, and it could be how they do it or how they set it up. But I'm pretty sure the place that I bowl, what they're doing is they're just pushing the machine 2 feet up on the lane and then running the pattern as is. I understand that you could probably go into the machine and adjust it and adapt it if you knew what you were doing, and perhaps some people that are doing this know what they're doing. But from what I see, they're just pushing the machine out 2 feet and hitting the start button. So I don't know how that can't affect the pattern. Being that what was supposed to be 2 feet back is now 2 feet further on the lane. And I could say from the way that they're playing, there's definitely something going on. I don't know if that's the explanation or not,
So how'd you guys find out?
because you could just see it on the lane. You can literally see that the first 2 feet aren't oiled. I mean, they're scorched. They're scorched. So here you go. This is one of the people that runs the league and has run this sport thing with me the last 2 years, and now runs the league. Period.
Anthony says Bolero has given a verbal okay. Lucky Strike has given a verbal okay, but now the story is that the mechanics will not change the machine until they get it in writing. God, what is this? Is just so
That's what I'm saying. See, it's impossible.
It's so stupid.
It's impossible to do something simple.
But why can't you just just deal with it? Big deal. Who cares? It's 2 feet.
We have the whole we have dealt with it the whole half. The problem, Rob, is that they're impossible.
You bought 760 last week.
No, that was on the house shot. I'm talking about the actual patterns. And honestly, it's really just the short pattern that's really a problem, because the short pattern is traditionally the higher scoring of the sport patterns that you bowl on, because it most resembles house, where you can get it to the gutter and see some reaction. And it's the opposite of that, and I don't know. They're really hard, and we didn't intend for them to be that hard. And to be honest, I'm not going to get into it very deeply, but it's also impacting things from a perspective of, there's guys who came into this league with an average that was established on house, and we reestablished them on sport based on partly the averages that we previously had. Like, what's the high average, what's the low average? We use that, and now no one's average. The person who was the high average, I don't even think is within 10 pins of what they were previously on these same patterns. So there's that much of a difference. And you have some people in the league that, because of the general average of the league, they feel like I'm going to say they're at a disadvantage given the handicap and the handicap system. And I agree with them. And they might not come back to the league, and we don't want to lose teams in the league. So we're trying
okay? Didn't this start as a practice league?
It did.
So why is who cares if people are winning or losing? It's a practice league.
Practice league is maybe taking it a little bit far. To me, yes, but to others, I feel like there's always been a competitive element to what we're doing. And now that we went back to an actual league format where there's teams and standings, and every week you're bowling a particular team, now I would say, no, it's back to a full competitive league.
So you don't have the ability to just miss a week anymore. You have to get a sub and all that stuff.
Yep.
What happened to your league?
Yeah, I know. Well, because I went through all this. But the one Bolero place that we were at was kicking us out because they wanted more room, right? And they weren't going to let us do the fluctuating numbers thing this year anyway. Then we went over to the other local Bolero, and we assumed that they wouldn't let us do the fluctuating numbers thing either. So whatever we did, we had to make it an actual league. And that's how we got to where we are. Right now, I agree with you. I think that the way that these types of experiences should be set up should be, yes, it is sanctioned. Tony's asking me if it's sanctioned. It is. The way that these experiences should be set up should be more practice based and less competition based. But yes, you do have several people in this league who bowl leagues for the purpose of making money. And they're upset. I know, and they're upset. It's the wrong league to bowl if you're bowling leagues to make money. And they're upset that the competitive balance is a bit off. And I agree with them. They are not wrong. I understand their complaint. Do I think their
Sport leagues,
complaint is misplaced in the wrong place? Yes, I do. But do I agree with their complaint? Yes, I do. So yeah, we got to get the pattern thing worked out. Yeah, we have to
sport
get a
leagues are
breather.
just never been a place to make like money like sport leagues. Like if you bowl a sport league and you could break out even on what you put in, I think is it's a win-win on a sport league. But
Tony's asking me in the chat if it's a challenge league or listed under regular league, asking for an average thing. I'm pretty sure, Tony, that it's listed as a sport league. In fact, I'm almost sure of that because I've used my average from this league for other purposes, and it's identified as a sport average. Um, so yeah, back to my league report. They're brutal. They're brutal. I mean, the short is just brutally hard, and I wasn't throwing it real good, and that's just a bad combination. Well, I really wasn't supposed to bowl last week. I was supposed to take the week off because I've kind of been doing an every other week thing, really because of my daughter's schedule, so that I can free myself up to make my wife's Tuesday night a little bit easier and take one of the kids and do what we need to do with them. And that was fine. But last week was supposed to be an off week for me. And my teammate called me at the last second, shout to Mike D. And he was like, "Oh, I tweaked my knee at work, basically, and he didn't think he'd be able to go. So at the last minute, about 2 hours before bowling started, I got called in to bowl. So made for a much more hectic night, me running around, and wasn't even really in the mind frame of going to bowl. But that's not an excuse. I just threw it like crap. I threw. Did I lose you? Am I back? Okay.
you're on delay. Yeah,
I was all over the place. I threw it like crap. Uh, in addition to that, they were tough. My spare shooting at times was atrocious. I missed a 5-pin. I recall that shooting it straight too. I just terrible, just terrible bowling. Um, there were other times where my spare shooting was excellent. I think I also made the washout, the 210, and the 3-6. I want to say I made two, something like that. So yeah, it was just a bad night. I just didn't bowl good, and yeah, we lost. We obviously had a sub for my other teammate, and yeah, we lost. We just didn't bowl good. Bad night. I think we're in second place now, and now I wanted to take this week off, and we're starting roll offs now for the last 3 weeks. So we have this week to bowl roll offs. Then we have 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's. And then we come back on that third week with 2 more weeks of roll offs left. So, see, this is again why I hate bowling the traditional league because it's the busy time of the year and I want to take off. I don't really want to bowl this week because I have other stuff to do and I'm busy and I'm having a party at my house on Sunday and I got Christmas stuff to do. As everyone does, right? And I got to go bowl. I have to go bowl because it's like a knockdown night and we're competing and we're in a decent place in the league, so it kind of puts you in the position where you have to go. And I almost wish the leagues would, like your league did, would take off for the month of December and just come back in January, second week of January. That should be a built-in hiatus to league bowling. Period. Like nobody should be bowling leagues the second, third, or fourth week of December or the first week of January. That should be a built-in month break to any league. So yeah, again not too thrilled. Then we're bowling the last game, and there's deadwood in the gutter on the right hand lane, and it's been in the gutter for a whole game because we just don't want to call and wait the 10 minutes it's going to take to get the deadwood out. And of course, I dump one to the right, and the gutter's tight, and it goes in the gutter. And my my Hammer Widow 3.0, which is basically like the only ball I use in this place on these patterns. I use the same ball on all three patterns, which is just ridiculous. And it goes in the gutter, hits the deadwood, and huge chunk taken out of it, right in the track. So now I'm down. I'm man down a bowling ball. The funny thing is, I switched to my Game Breaker 4, which the last couple weeks on the short has looked like garbage. And I switched to that, and yeah, I just labeled the last four shots. I mean, it was like, oh, clearly I should have been using that ball the whole time. So maybe tells me that I got the wrong idea out there, partly at least for what I'm bowling on the short. But yeah, that's it. I think 560, bad 560, terrible 560,
All right.
terrible 560. Yeah,
We good? Can we move on now? We'll talk about the PBA. We got a whole year to talk about.
we can.
We can. Well,
Let's do, please.
okay. So the PBA awards came out, right, Mike? And
Yawn.
Yawn.
Oh, I mean, really.
EJ Tackett, right? Wins it again, back to back. I mean, clearly one of the major storylines of the year, at least the PBA season, was EJ Tackett, right? Like, just clearly, like putting his flag in the ground that he's the best bowler in the world. After last year, and him and Simo were so back and forth, and it still he pretty much
This year too, right?
this year too, but there's no argument anymore, in my opinion. He's the best bowler in the world right now. Anthony Simonson is a close second. And then you got Belmo, who's probably still in there, and then pretty much everybody else. But that was, to me, the major storyline was EJ Tackett. I mean, after
it was really just the World Series, right? Because
it's crazy.
Before the World Series, he had made a lot of shows, but he hadn't won.
Yeah, and then he was on. Then he came on our show.
Yeah, and then he ran him over at the World Series,
which was impressive because of how good the left was.
Super impressive.
A lot of people struggled at the World Series, including Bill. There was a lot of righties that struggled there and really hurt themselves. And Bill was one of them who hurt himself at the World Series, who was in runner of the year he was in running for bowl of the year before that World Series. And EJ being able to do what he did at the World Series, I mean, was just really impressive, honestly.
Yeah, and when it was over, it was clear that Simonson, Bill, Troop, one of those three guys, was going to have to win a major to surpass him for Player of the Year. And I mean, yeah, listen, obviously it ain't easy to win majors out here. So the fact that didn't happen is really not that great of a surprise, especially since I believe at that time after the World Series and the World Championship, I believe there's only one major left on the schedule.
I mean, it doesn't help that the schedule was really front end stacked with all like the bigger tournaments. So it just was hard for anybody to really play catch up after he won the Shark, right? Then he wins the Shark, and then he wins the PBA World Championship. And then after that, it was really only the TOC that was really the only tournament that was left after that. And then Marshall Kent won the TOC. So then you only had like the playoffs and the PBA Tour finals and maybe like a few other smaller tournaments. But ultimately,
and those don't carry the same weight.
Right.
Right. Those don't carry the same weight as some of the other ones. So, yeah, it's impressive. I mean, he's one of only a handful of players to win it 3 or more times.
Yep.
He's still young. I mean, it's not like we're talking about somebody who's in the twilight of their career. You know, this is somebody who has a lot of years left of competing if they stay healthy and they stay able to compete at this level. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
he's
I guess
32.
what's most impressive to me about EJ Tackett and his player of the year win now, and I'd say last year, and I'd probably say all three of his player of the years actually, is that he's doing this in an environment where everybody considers one-handed bowling to be somewhat dead.
Well, he's 32, Mike. He's in his middle of, that's to me bowling prime right there.
I would say beginning of bowling prime, right?
Right, because you
You
finally
got
got
a
your
long prime.
experience.
You
You
got a
do.
long prime in
I mean, look
bowling,
at Bill.
probably from your later 20s all the way through your later
45,
30s. Yeah, maybe even
45.
early 40s if you're somebody like EJ Tackett or
Yeah.
Pete Weber or Bill O'Neill, etc. So yeah, but again, I just think that it's super impressive that he's doing this in an era where a lot of people think one-handed bowling is dead and that two-handed bowling reigns supreme. And on the PBA Tour, which is the highest level of bowling competition in the world, it's still a one-handed player who puts their thumb in. It's a one-handed player who puts their thumb in who's dominating and winning players of the year. Now,
He's got more level.
I understand that he has the rev rate of a two-hander, but do you understand what that means in terms of the way he throws it with one hand? I mean, that pretty much means that he's throwing the ball in a way that we've never really seen before. So,
And the
yeah,
thing,
I mean,
and the other really, really amazing thing to me is he doesn't really like to throw urethane. In a day and age of everybody using urethane, he's very I mean, Motive doesn't really make. We have this conversation all the time about Motive not making the greatest urethane balls. I mean, they're okay, but compared to the Black 78 and the IQ 78, though they're not as good, and he's winning and he's doing this player of the year in an age of urethane and two-handers. So, I mean, it's really impressive. So, I mean, that's for me the first storyline. The second storyline to me, I think Marshall Kent had a breakout year this year compared to some of his other years where he's been kind of just around. But I don't know. You want to talk about Jimmy's comment first before we get into?
He was just asking in the chat, ringing 10, Jimmy, what up? He was asking what title carries the most weight, the U.S. Open. I think in terms of the bowler of the year, I don't think that any one major carries more weight than the other, but I would just say the majors. Like if somebody wins 2 majors in a season, somebody else is going to have to win 5 titles. I would think to steal that vote away from player of the year.
2 majors puts you in puts you in player of the year running. Like you don't have to win a title the rest of the year, and you're probably going to be in top 3 in voting, depending on what everybody else is doing. So I agree. I think the majors, and they should weigh heavier, right? Like that's just how it is. But
for instance, Bill won the players, right? He won the first one out of the gate. He also made the show at the U.S. Open, right? And if he wins there, he wins player of the year.
Probably.
That's it. I mean, even if EJ Tackett goes on to have the World Series that he had, it really doesn't matter. He still would have won. So yeah, shout to EJ Tackett. Nate Purchase with the Rookie of the Year win. I thought that was deserved. I thought that was well deserved. I said that on the show.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat a dead horse on the Rookie of the Year award. And
Kyle Troop with the Tony Reyes Community Service Award again, very well deserved. Shout to Kyle. I always see him out there doing good things. I've said on this show numerous times he's the people's pro bowler. I mean, my man's out there doing things with the regular community, showing up in bowling leagues, et cetera, et cetera. And then you had who won the Steve Nagy Sportsmanship Award?
Oh, it was Ricky Teese, right?
That's right, Richie Teese, no doubt, Richie Teese. So shout to him for the Good Guy Award. He seems like a nice guy. Seems like somebody you wouldn't mind crossing with.
So I want to talk more about the year
Well,
because
the story of the year, right? I mean, you just brought it up. I'll throw my perspective out there. The story of the year, you already mentioned it in a way. The story of the year is still Urethane. The story of bowling in 2024 is about Urethane. It's about old Urethane being banned, new Urethane being brought in, and Urethane still being a usable tool at all levels of the game, but particularly at the highest levels of the game.
yeah, it's not going away. And it's here to stay. I've never been a fan of it just because of the entertainment value of it.
Nico's trying to put us on freezing cold sports takes here. He wants to know, didn't we say the harder balls that they would go away and not be used? I didn't say that. I said I will believe it when I see it. And while I know some people would argue that their impact has been dulled, and that may be true, they're still very usable tools.
They are. I think
And
it's
I
just
would even say that I'm not so sure that their impact has been dulled all that much because previously it's not like people were winning with urethane left and right. They were using it a lot. It was going down the lane a lot. It was being used for certain purposes. But when it came time for the cheddar, it was usually being kept in the bag. We weren't seeing it win on the actual shows and the finals and the final matches. So again, yet we still see that. We see it used a little bit less on the other end, but I still feel like it's a very usable tool.
it is. I think it's just the players are so good that they just figured out how to make changes and adjustments based on the hardness of the ball. I do remember talking to Bill about it a lot when he was staying with me during like the Chris Paul celebrity event or whatever. I don't think it's the Chris Paul event anymore, but you know what I'm talking about when we were Phoenix here. And he said that it's still going to be prevalent on tour, but it's just you can't stay in it as long as you used to be able to stay in it because of the hardness that any of the transition really affects it just a little bit more than it used to. A lot of players used to be able to just stay in purple hammers for the whole tournament. And now once there's a lot of transition, then they have to really make quicker moves to get out of it. And you saw that to a certain extent. I think the TV show is the same type of thing where by the third, fourth match on the step ladder, you're going to see a lot of righties switching out of the urethane, and the lefties are just going to stay in it unless there's a lot of lefties bowling on the TV pair, and then they might just force it more than the righties. But yeah, it's still going to be used, but I just think it's going to be used differently, and they learned how to like adjust to the hardness.
But the point remains that given an additional change, okay, without an additional change to the rules, the balls, etc., the urethanes, even the updated ones, still seem to be a very usable tool.
100%.
Yeah, so I
All
mean,
right.
to me, that's the story of the year because
So
that was the big story going in. And listen, am I going to sit here and say it didn't affect anyone? No, it did. It did. I mean, I think you saw in the standings, in the points, in the final calculations of how people bowled out there, you did see a difference in that harder urethane being used. But it's not like they took it away and said, "No, you're not really going to be able to use this anymore." You know,
yeah,
so a couple can we bring up a couple comments here
sure.
about this? Let's see. Henry says, "Is it laughable watching 220 house hacks use an IQ 78 and black hammers?"
Very laughable. You
Yes.
should laugh at them.
If honestly, Henry, that's one of my favorite things that has come out of this urethane nonsense is that you have all these lower level bowlers who have no use for urethane whatsoever. I mean, if you're bowling on house shots, there's no point in having a urethane ball in your bag. You can have one in your bag if you want. I mean, just to bring it out and use it and do something different, try something different. But let's be honest, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage if that's what you're using on house. But yeah, you see them going down the lane all the time. Now I will say, in the sport environments that I bowl in, they're very usable, very usable. So I don't know. Like, I'm surprised they're not getting more use out on tour for what I see from my own experience with these balls over a year now. But yeah, definitely. Let's see. I like this comment from Jimmy too. He says it feels like urethane is the ultimate hack, and once the bowlers learn that, they will never get away from it. I agree.
I think it's and we've talked about this so many times. I don't want to get into a deep urethane conversation, but I feel like it's the patterns and the lane surface are dictating that they can use it, so they're going to use it. I think once the lane, the PBA tour and the way they put the patterns out, and whatever the powers that be that are involved in making the patterns, making the oil, doing all the technical side of it, once they, I think, figure out how to take that away, I think you might see it less on tour, but I don't think they've figured that out yet, or they just don't care, and they just really don't care if urethane's getting thrown or not. So yeah, I kind of agree that it is a hack, and I use it in the sport league. Like Mike said, I've had some amazing weeks using that urethane. I mean, just it is a cheat code if you could figure out how to play and where to play them, especially on a shorter pattern. If you could play right of 5, forget it. Like, it's just such a cheat code. Here's one. I know someone mentioned Butters in the chat. Jimmy did, about being affected by it. I personally know Butters. He's lived in my area for a while. Not anymore. He moved. It really wasn't the urethane that affected Butters this year. Butters was dealing with a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And he's better now, I believe, from what I've heard. A lot of friends still in this area. So hopefully we see Butters next year and he's back to normal, because I just think it didn't matter what it was. He was dealing with a lot this year on his own issues. But here's something. I know someone brought it up in the chat. I think it was Henry. String pins. Will string pins level the playing field between two-handed and no thumb and traditional drilling? So one of my other storylines is that string pins is gradually starting to become more and more common out there. It's not as much, but I know there was a lot of USBC sanctioning going on. The PBA even talked about it this last few months. I don't have it in front of me, but I know they sanctioned a certain Cubica pin setter, I believe I read. So it's slowly inching its way into our lives, Mike. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. So I'm just going to be interested to see when the first PBA national tour stop is going to be on string pins. And if it's not next year, then I'm going to take a very speculative guess here and say you'll see it in 2026 if it's not going to be next year, because I don't think any of the places next year are going to be on string pins. But it's coming, people. Put your helmets on, strap your boots. And I think that's just it's gonna affect the bowling industry to a whole, especially when Lucky Strike ends up starting to really start putting them into their bowling centers. And will it like even out the two-handers and the one-handers? I don't know. I for the PBA Tour's sake, I think everybody is just so good out there that you're going to see a lot of the same people winning. I don't think it's going to really have any effect. I do think, though, it will give the one-handed traditional players a little bit of a little bit more of an even playing field bowling the two-handers.
I think it'll drastically impact scores and what goes on at the house league level.
Oh, it'll make them lower, I think.
Oh, yeah. So while you were talking about that, I was thinking about Joe Paluzik.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Palu? And they put string pins in the center where he has his shop. It's a Bolero center.
He loves them.
It's one of their
He loves
biggest,
them.
nicest centers, and he loves them.
I know, because he's
literally
yeah,
in love with string pins.
yeah.
My man has a new love in his life,
Well, you
and
know
it's
why?
rolling pins on strings. He never
You know,
even knew it.
I know why, and
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
know
talked to him
why
about it.
too.
I'll tell you why, and
I'll tell you why too.
because string pins, you really need to physically pure the shot in order to really get 10 down in the pit. Any half-fast like misses at the bottom of the swing or timing, you're gonna not gonna carry on a string pins. It's really, you have to really throw it good. And Pelusic is a traditionalist. He is an old school traditionalist who
Old school traditionalist.
who
Okay.
wants to bring back the physical shot making of the sport. And string pins does that to a certain extent. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. And I mean, if I boil it down, I would say that he likes them because the two-handers ain't going to be spraying them all over the lane and having messengers give them their off-pocket hits. You know, he wants to see people have to hit the pocket
At a certain angle.
in a flush angle where
Yep.
the ball only hits 4 pins and you have to strike properly. You know, and like I get that. You know, it hasn't been part of the game for a long time now. I feel like more than ever you can just hit half pocket and strike. You know,
Yeah.
just hit half pocket and strike.
Until you really practice on them. Like I have been at B3 for years. And I think one practice session at B3, I was throwing my urethane on like a short pattern. And I think I left like 13 half 10 pins in a row, like 13 in a row or something crazy like that. Like I could not strike in a half like pocket. Like you had to be high flush, or even the light hits, you would leave a 7 pin on those strings.
Geo Strap in the chat saying those front fives turn into XX9 out, X9 out real fast in league. It's the truth. Geo, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. It's like that's such a good comment. And like, yeah, how many times do you see somebody have 8 in a row or 9 in a row and they didn't throw one dead flush? You know, I honestly during the summer when I was bowling on the house stuff, one of the guys that I was bowling with, my buddy GQ, was asking me like, you know, well, like all these guys throw all these strikes. Like, what's the difference between, you know, somebody at a level like you and somebody who's striking, and you say that it's more due to the lanes, or the pattern. And I told him, I said the main thing to look at if you want to know who's really locked in and throwing it really good and repeating it, look for the guy who every time they strike, it's 10 back. There's no pins on the deck. There's no messengers. There's no crumbled buckets. There's no rolled 2 pins. It's bang, 10 back, 10 back, 10 back, 10 back. And that's how you know that somebody is, you know, repeating it, hitting the pocket properly, you know, rolling it pretty well. Geez, I mean, today, again, I feel like, you know, you see more off-pocket hits than ever strike. So, yeah, I agree, Rob. I think string pins, you know, it's we're at the beginning and it's going to take some time. So I don't know if it's something that's going to happen real quickly. But yeah, you know, it definitely that's a huge story going forward, right? No question. As we wrap up the year, you know, I think everybody who bowls understands that that's going to be part of the future conversation.
For sure. All right, Mike, I got another good storyline here. I think I'm going to combine these together. Some new faces winning titles this year. D-Ron winning the Masters. Good friend of mine. Dio Bernard, right? And just seeing a lot of new faces on the shows. I think you always, as a PBA Tour fan, you like paying attention to what the young bucks are doing and seeing the future of the PBA, right? Seeing the kids that are going to be coming in tour, the exemption, right, with a lot of the young guys like Ryan Barnes is going to start making some waves on tour the next, year or two. So yeah, I mean, just seeing D-Ron win the Masters, Dio Bernard win, and having some just new faces, getting some titles this year. Yeah, Booger. I call him as Boog Kroll, another one who won the PBA Delaware. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see some new faces, I guess.
Will the return question, based on your point there, will the return of the exempt tour hurt that?
No, because I think there's a lot of new faces on the exempt tour that made the exemption, that have an opportunity now to make some shows. And the people that are still going through PTQs can still go through PTQs, right? So I feel like they took enough people, I think, from the exemption and the way they did it this year, where I don't think you're going to see a lot of people getting shut out. And then you still have the PTQs, right, where these people you're still going to see some new faces. So next storyline I have is a few just kind of off the beat, but I'm going to talk PBA 50 and PWBA, the Asian dominance of the PWBA. Sin Lee Jane, I think I always mess her name up. 2 majors, 4 titles, right? Completely dominating. Cherry Tan, right? Having a good year. I think that is a really interesting storyline because I think they came out of nowhere this year. Sin Lee Jane came out of nowhere, in my opinion, but it was amazing to watch her on TV. She was just like a freaking machine. Never missed her mark. never. There's real easy game, and I think that was a storyline. Then you got John Janowitz, right? PBA 50, just having a crushing year. 2 majors, 5 titles, Mike, for John Janowitz. I mean, it felt like he was on every show on the PBA 50 or every Bowl TV show. So those are my 2 storylines.
Yeah, I don't have too much more, really. I mean, I think, when I think about this year, about bowling in general, I just think that, and I don't want to be too negative here in our yearly wrap up show, but if I'm talking storylines and professional bowling, we already talked about, right? But if I'm talking storylines in general, I just think that we end the year with a situation where Bolero, Lucky Strike, whatever you want to call them, made more inroads this year to becoming the dominant entity in the bowling business, right? Buying more centers, buying more famous centers, famously competitive centers like North Rock, like Spectrum, like Detroit, the place in Detroit. Thunderbolt. Sorry, forgot the name there. And yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like. I'm not happy where bowling is as we're ending 2024 and going into 2025.
No Fox deal. I know you're going to bring that up.
No, I'm not, because I heard throughout the week that
it's coming.
While nothing is being talked about, it's something that I wouldn't be surprised if it gets worked out. Right, that's what I was told behind the scenes. So I'm not even
maybe a drone will pass you a message in Jersey when you're leaving the bowling center.
But no, I mean, I just think I would like to have bowling be in a better place than it is, generally speaking, as we end the year. And
See, Nico,
I'd like to say that the advent of this company and their influence in the game has been something that's really good. But I think we all know that's not the case.
So Nico asked, so would you rather have those centers close or be bought out? Who said those centers were going to close? You don't know that's the case. Now, did Lucky Strike just bring in a bunch of money to them and they couldn't refuse, like, But if Bolero never presents them with the suitcase full of money, that doesn't mean they're going to close either, right? Like, I think that when you're a proprietor, you have to look at what the money is presented to you and realize this is probably a great price, and I'm probably going to sell the center because I want to retire or I don't want to deal with the headache. But if Bolero never presents it to them, they're probably going to still run the center.
Yeah, and these centers, they're owned by people who probably owned them for years.
Yeah,
Who knows who they have in line to take over, or whether they have anybody in line to take over. And then you have this entity, Bolero or Lucky Strike, coming to offer you, a buyout situation. Maybe a lot of these people were looking to get out anyway. They had a good run in the business. They want to retire. They don't want to do it anymore. They don't have somebody that's there to succeed them. So they make a sale that benefits them. You can't blame them for doing that. And I don't think, Nico, the alternative there is that the center closes per se. Maybe in some situations that might happen, but I don't think that would be the norm in these instances that we're talking about here. But yeah, I don't, like I said, I just don't like where it's going. I don't. And Nico asked, would you rather the center be bought out or shut down? No, I'm okay with Bolero, but like, I'm not okay with their lack of trying to make the bowling experience better for the competitive bowler.
I mean, we've talked about this so many times. I just want to see.
That's why I'm saying, like, you want to talk about what the headlines are for the year.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's definitely one of the headlines for the year. And it's been a headline for the year for the last few years because this has been going on for a while, But at the same time, it's like, it seems to just go for a little bit further down that road of, caring less, giving less effort, taking care of the things that matter to that section of bowlers less.
I just want to see basic, like, business, like, investments into the centers, upgrading maybe carpets and cleaning, having people clean the place, and just having lane pin setter maintenance. It seems like every Bolero I'm in, the lanes break down all the time. They seem like there's less and less actual experienced mechanics working. They're not cleaning the pin setter. My ball comes back dirty as hell. Yeah, tables and chairs.
Making sure people have a place to sit when they bowl league.
Air conditioning in the summer, right? Like, just basic business, like, expenses that bowling centers should be doing. And I feel like Bolero, that's their number one problem, is the basic stuff, right? Where if you go into a bowling center that's privately owned, that the owner is there all the time and has a good bowling center, and we've all been bowling at those in our lives, the bowling centers are clean. The pin setter, you have a lot of less breakdowns. You're going to the bathroom and there's soap in the soap dispensers. The bathrooms are clean. There's toilet paper. It just seems like Boleros lack all of that. And that's really all they need to make the bowlers happy, is to just have a good experience going into the center. And when you're charging the prices that they charge for food and games and shoes, and you don't have those basic necessities, you're failing as a business. And the more and more
that's the thing. I mean, not from what you generally see anyway, with the way that they're purchasing centers and snatching up bowling alleys.
No, I mean, you're failing. No, I mean, you're failing as a business to your consumers, right? And that's what a monopoly is. A monopoly is a business that you're the only show in town, and the bowling centers, the bowlers are going to come bowl in your bowling center because you're the only one that's, maybe 20 minutes from someone's house or 30 minutes, and you can cut down on those basic expenses because bowlers are going to come anyway. It reminds me of a shit sports team who has a shit stadium, but the fans love the team, and the owner knows they're going to show up to the baseball game or the football game, regardless of if the team is good or the stadium is nice, and they don't want to put any money into any of it, but they still know the fans are going to still show up, so they don't really care. And that's what Bolero reminds me of.
I yearn for the days that when you went to a bowling center and you walked up to the front desk, you could almost be assured that the person behind that desk was a true bowler themselves. And they knew, and even if it was like Kathy, the lady who used to work the desk at the bowling alley I grew up in, okay, shout to Thunderbird Lanes on Home Ave in Philly. That person knew bowling a little bit. They knew, like, okay, this is the lanes this person should be put on. Here's the lanes that are done. Here's the lanes that are not. My oil guy, he's going to want to start down here and go this way, so we put them down there. Or they knew whether the lanes were done or not, so they could tell you, well, if you want to practice, you should go down there, not over here, etc., etc., etc. Rob's just shaking his head if you're just listening to this, okay? I got Rob going down memory lane right now. I just hit him with a bit of nostalgia, all right?
Yeah, I love it.
And I don't know, man, like today, you walk up to the counter at any Bolero, and it's a teenage kid, man. It's a teenage kid that has no clue. No, they don't even know how to change the channel or turn off the screen down the lane if you want to turn on or off, let alone if you walk up to them and say, hey, can I get a pair that's freshly oiled to practice? They're going to look at you like, freshly oiled? What? Did somebody
Here's my favorite.
Did somebody put Crisco on these heads or what? I mean, what's going on?
Mike, here's my favorite when you're bowling and you're practicing and there's like 20 lanes open next to you and they put the next people right next to you and they have kids, little kids. Like, and I remember the days when I used to be able to go to the front and say, hey, could I have a pair? Yep. Could you put me away from everybody?
Just put me on. What I'm saying. You didn't even have to say it.
No, you did it.
If you just went up and said, hey, can I get a pair to practice a couple games?
And hey,
they would have known. No,
the rest of the house.
Guy down here, keep him away from all the open bowlers because he ain't here for that, right?
But then if some other people who knew what they were doing would come in, then they would put you, I wanted you to put them near you. You know what I mean? Because they knew you were a bowler. They knew those people were bowlers. And they would, put all the really recreation with the kids on next to each other. They would know exactly how to place you. I'm with you, man. I miss those days. I miss those days.
Are gone, bro.
Gone.
Those days are so gone. They're so fun. Like, I go into bowl my sport league at the Bolero we bowl at, and they got the club music bumping, son.
Oh, global with noon.
Night. It's a Tuesday night, and like I'm up on the approach, and it's like don't. And listen, I don't care. I'm there bowling just to bowl and enjoy myself and bowl on something tough. So I'll block it out. It ain't the end of the world. But I mean, see, that's what I'm saying though. It's just the little things. It's the nuances that matter in something like that. And they just got nobody.
Dave, what's up, man? Good to see you back in the chat. Back in the day, pro shop owners would secure a lane for you when you wanted a new ball, check your track, your pat. Good luck now. They say bring in a ball and you think it fits well. Lazy bastards. Yeah, there's a lot.
Part of that, Dave. I mean, and I'm not, again, I'm loading up on Bolero in our final episode of the year here. But, this is why I get banned from Boleros all throughout my area. But part of that, Dave, is Bolero too. Because, the pro shop don't open at 10 a.m. anymore. It opens at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Yep. And now the guy's got the same amount of work to do, but not as many hours to do it. And he can't just take you out on the lanes at 4:30 in the afternoon because they're probably not done. And your new ball is going to hook at the arrows and hook off the lane. And, so yeah, it's again, like none of this is good for bowling.
Nope.
None of this is good for the sport. None of this is good for the game. I'll be honest, Rob, I think I reached the conclusion last week for various purposes. I mean, there's it's not just about the patterns or the lanes or that.
Or you're not bowling it. You're done.
No, it's not that I'm not going to bowl. I still want to bowl. I really think that if you are part of a serious league, like a league that takes bowling seriously to a degree, okay, you got to be in a privately owned center. I mean, unless it's not an option, unless there's like not one around you, or the one around you is perhaps so old and downtrodden that it's not a better experience. Okay, I get that. But to me, if I have the option between let me go to this privately owned center and let me go to this Bolero center for a competitive experience, I 99 times out of 100, I'm choosing the privately owned center.
Yeah, I hear you. Real quick before we get into worst of the week, my only other bowling topic or storyline this year was Bet Rivers brought it this year. Bet Rivers was a very, very pleasant surprise, honestly.
I'm applauding Bet Rivers.
For us to be able to bet bowling and some of the stuff we were able to bet this year was awesome. It was unexpected. I didn't think we were going to see something like that for years, to be honest with you. And then when the PBA season started, I was like, holy crap. And then we were able to bet the Masters match play and all kinds of good stuff. So I hope that River stays with it. I hope they made a lot of money from other people other than us this year so that they stick with the time doing it. And I hope they were able to get it expanded to other states. And I hope eventually one day, like, the whole country is allowed to bet on sports as well as bet on bowling. And then you might see a lot more eyes like DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, Caesars, all of them like jump on the wagon. And then you might start seeing a lot of
That's
eyes.
when the money train rolls in.
Woo-hoo!
Money train coming through. Okay, that's when the money train rolls in.
So big shouts to Bet Rivers, and I don't want to get into a big bowling gambling, but it was awesome to see this year. I think it was a storyline that we didn't see coming.
God, I wish Bet Rivers had the resources that DraftKings had, and it would just be the Bet Rivers PBA Tour.
Yeah,
PBA
that's what I want.
Presented by Bet Rivers.
Now that we have Bet Rivers, will shows evolve also to something better than a step ladder. I don't think bowling is gonna really change with the gambling, in my opinion, unless there's maybe a show that is or a tournament that Tom Clark knows that I brought up on Twitter one day about having a tournament just dedicated to betting on. So yeah, that's
and
my
Henry. I know Henry doesn't want to hear this. I saw his comment earlier. The step ladder's built for betting, Henry. You don't want to hear that because you don't like the old format. It's fine. I respect that. But the step ladder is built for betting. Okay? I would much rather see a step ladder where every game a new opponent's coming in than, say, on TV, a best of 5 between the same two people.
I think the good thing about bowling is that you could find a way to make bets on really anything. Like, even if you had a show where you had 5 people bowling a game or 4 people bowling one game and then 3 people bowling a game, like an elimination type, like ladder, you could do a lot of good betting on that. You could set odds on each person. But I think Mike talked about it a lot. And like I said, I want to wrap up here, but when we were able to live bet shots, it was going to be pretty funny to be able to try to do. Maybe the odds of someone throwing a Greek church might be, I don't know, big odds or something, and you could bet it. I don't know, like it would be
7-10 bets like that. Like,
yeah,
we talked about it.
We would, but I don't think we're there yet. But I'm just happy that we have something at this point, which has been cool.
Call it my New Year's wish.
Yeah, Nico says
bowling.
Over and under on a single pin spare being missed. I think that would be awesome odds. You probably get a lot of great odds on missed single pin spares. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I'm just happy that we're able to bet. I know we did pretty well this year betting. So
sorry, yeah. I thought I heard a drone out my window. It's just my name. It's my neighbor's electric car backing up, though.
Oh, that would have been, yo, imagine being live on a
Right
bowling
on our
podcast and
podcast,
you're
I
able to
know.
get
Drone comes out my window.
dude, we would blow up. We go viral so
Right.
quick. It'd be awesome. All right, Mike, anything else you want to talk about? I know the next episode won't be until after New Year's.
Yeah, I just want to, I mean, I appreciate everybody's support, yo.
It's been fun.
I say it all the time. I can't believe anybody listens to our nonsense, let alone a couple thousand people a week downloading this to listen to it. So
It's crazy.
I know who a lot of you people are, but I don't know who a lot of you people are.
No,
But I appreciate it. I do. And I appreciate all the emails, and I appreciate all the people that reach out, and I appreciate all the people that have become friends in a way through this show and through
it's a
our
family.
experience here.
We're all family. We fight
we had a little
and
community, and
we fight
cool.
and we
And
argue and
yeah, I'm just I'm thankful for that. I'm looking forward to taking a little break here. I've said it before. My favorite time of doing this podcast is when the PBA tour is going, and we're at that precipice now. When we come back, our episodes are going to be more focused on the upcoming season and what our thoughts are and what it's going to look like. So I can't wait for that. But
thanks, God, man. Robert always comes in, man, every week. Dude, that's my guy.
No
Dude,
doubt. That's what I'm saying. Like,
against me.
It's people like Robert. It's people like Jimmy. It's people like Nico. It's people like Tim Sorrells. It's people like Kevin Haybear. It's people,
Henry. Steve,
I mean, I can keep
Henry.
going on and on and on. You guys know,
Dude,
like the regulars are the
David
regulars. So
that,
yeah, it's just cool. It's cool that that's something that has come out of this, and I'm looking forward to the holidays. I'm looking forward to the holidays, the time off, all that. But first,
we got to give him worst of the year.
Worst of the year.
Let's do it.
Worst of the year. Worst of the year.
I'm gonna go first.
I'm gonna go first, Mike.
I'm gonna go first, Mike.
You all should know what I'm giving worst of the year. If you don't know, you ain't around. Okay.
That's why I'm going first. Because our worst of the year is going to a TikTok clip that we put on our TikTok Sweep the Rack. If you're not following us, I don't know how much longer TikTok's going to be around, but it was, I think it caught like 20,000+ views. And my worst of the year is going to Dougie and him running the Puff Daddy tournament.
The
Diddy, where he, has that, by the way, has that went off yet?
It did, yeah.
Oh, did I just ask if the Puff Daddy tournament went off? I kind of feel like I need to stop at this point. And how was it? Was there any feedback from it? Did you hear anything about the Puff Daddy?
I heard it was a good event. I heard it was fun.
It was a good event. It was fun. Yeah, I bet.
For the second half of it, when the lights went out and the party started, I was told that he had a DJ who played nothing but Diddy tracks for the whole second half of the tour. I swear to God, he had a DJ in the building who played nothing but Diddy tracks. I mean, it's
It's shouts to Dougie though. It's shouts to Dougie. Seriously though, it's a really wild tournament.
It's so bad that it's good.
It is. It's so.
It's
bad.
worst of the year. It's that bad.
It's like
I don't know about that. But it's so bad it then crosses the line into being good again. So.
It's a marketing. It's a really. I'm not gonna say it's a genius marketing move. I'm gonna say it's a very creative marketing.
Yeah, he gave bottles of baby oil as the trophies to the tournament. I mean, the commitment to it. That you got to respect the man's commitment.
I respect it, man. Dougie, if you're listening or you're gonna hear this sometime, I respect it. You won worst of the year, but it wasn't really worst of the year. It was definitely something though that was probably the funniest thing of the year I think I saw in the bowling social media world. Now, Mike, on the other hand, is about to give a real worst of the year award, and I'm looking forward to it. So go ahead, Mike.
I'll be honest. I thought there was a chance. I got to give it on before I give my actual one. I got to give an honorable mention because I thought there was a chance you were going to go with this one, and I forget who this worst of the week was to. But one of my favorite worst of the weeks of the year, I have to give worst of the year to the person I'm going to give it to. So I'll get to that in a second. But one of my favorite worst of the weeks this year was the bowling center that had Sean Rash and the Glizzy Eater. The Glizzy Eater. I just can't. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I gotta mention that as an honorable mention because that one will stick with me for a long, long time.
Yeah, that was a good one.
My worst of the year. Sorry, a moment. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Dave. We'll talk about the PBA Battle of the Brands and all the 2025 PBA stuff in next year for our 2025 preview show. So anything that you guys want to talk about, what predictions, odds, all that stuff, we're going to talk about next time we're on air, probably after New Year's. So
we did talk about it in a previous episode, though, Dave.
Yeah,
if you go back a couple episodes when they announced it, we did do 10 minutes on it or so.
Yeah.
If you want me to sum it up,
It's
crap.
Dumb. It's dumb.
Crap.
But anyway, all right, Mike, go ahead. Get it out of your system. I know it's been brewing for a little bit for worst of the year.
Listen, my worst of the year is going to the King of the Patch Pirates, baby. King of the Patch Pirates, Louis Napolis, gets worst of the year around here on Sweep the Rack for his ridiculous calling me out in his posts, about I'm what's wrong with bowling. I'm everything that's wrong with bowling. Rob's great. Rob's amazing. Cool with Rob, but I'm everything that's wrong with bowling. I said my piece on it already. I'm just telling you that was worst of the year. That's worst of the year material to me. You can say that I'm everything that's wrong with bowling. I'm
everything that's right with bowling. So
I say I'm telling the truth. I'm saying I'm speaking a truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. So that's fine. If the things I say make you angry, if the truths that I speak rub you the wrong way, so be it. I don't really care. But that doesn't mean I'm what's wrong with bowling. And there's a lot of people out there saying the things I'm saying, that believe the things that I talk about, know them to be true, who do a lot for the sport of bowling. I myself have had a lot of involvement in the sport of bowling in different roles and different ways and promoting the game and helping people out. So again, for the King of the Patch Pirates to say that I'm everything that's wrong with bowling, that I'm toxic, I create a toxic bowling environment, is just ridiculous. Okay, it's just ridiculous. So I'll give him worst of the year, and I will say again, King of the Patch Pirates. If you ever want to bowl me on something of real substance, we can make that happen. That would be good content for the bowling internet.
Awesome.
He is going two-handed. People are mentioning in the chat he's going two-handed. He is going two-handed. I saw that. Somebody emailed me a clip or texted me a clip and was like, yo, check this out. King of the Patch Pirates going two-handed. Very predictable, but I got to say, bro throws it a lot better two-handed than he does one-handed. Still don't have a shot to beat me on anything tough, but he throws it much better two-handed than one-handed. So I'll give that to him.
Awesome. All right, Mike, let's wrap this up and get out of here.
Glizzy Eater was my favorite worst of the year, though.
That's funny. I completely forgot about that one.
Doing the appearance together. That was a great one. That was amazing.
A good one. Final thoughts. One of the storylines I didn't mention was the return of Rudy, who one of my New Year's resolutions is to get that interview done. So Rudy, if you're still in the chat or listening, that's one of my New Year's resolutions. We can knock it out in the first week or two and have my resolutions. Honestly, though, it's been awesome this year. And I just wanted to wish all of my friends and everybody who listens to the show a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, really whatever you celebrate. Just enjoy the holiday with your family, with your friends. time goes by quick, people. And it's just one of those things where you have to enjoy the present because you never know what's going to be happening. So enjoy your time with your family. Get off your fucking phones, people. Get off your phones. Enjoy your family. Enjoy, laugh, talk, have a good times with them. Enjoy it. So that's about it. And Nico wants to know how long I'm going to be out. I'm still waiting to go see the back specialist, and that's probably not going to happen until next year because the doctors are at a capacity right now. So we'll see what happens with my back. And then, maybe I could start bowling again. But until then, I'm trying to lose some weight, get in shape, and go see a back doctor. So, appreciate everybody doing the show. We've been doing this almost about 5-6 years now, going to be running on. Can't believe we've done this for 6 years, weekly,
Time, right?
literally weekly. I think we're on like 14 seasons, and we've done 20 episodes a season, Mike. Like, I think we're on like season 14, Mike. We're almost like at Simpsons, like we're almost at Simpsons type numbers here. But anyway, just wanted to throw everybody out. Probably be first week of New Year's will probably be our first episode after New Year's. I'd imagine that's Sunday after New Year's. But we'll put up social media and let everybody know. But Happy New Year.
We'll definitely be prepping for the start of the PBA tour. We come
crazy.
back in January, and a few weeks after that, they're going to kick it off with a tournament that I hope to be in the building for. Sweep the Rack in the building for the first event of the year in Delaware. So again, hope to be fired up with Bet Rivers. Hope to be in person in Delaware.
We appreciate that. Daniel says that we're bowling podcast royalty.
Wow,
that's pretty cool. Royalty is a big name.
Yeah, that's high. I don't know about putting us in that category. It's high praise. So again, looking forward to the break here, but also looking forward to come back and getting into the PBA tour for next year. To me, that's the meat and potatoes of what we do around here. That's the best time to be a fan of this podcast is when the PBA tour is going on and there's bowling on every week and there's betting going on, and I just love it. I can't get enough of it. In fact, it's awesome because football ends, but we have bowling to continue our interest, going forward.
A gambling fix, you mean?
And just to be interested in and thinking about. So it's just great. But looking forward to it. Everybody have a great holiday. Enjoy it. Hope everybody's safe travels and everything wherever you're going and whatnot.
Like and subscribe if you haven't done.
Like and subscribe. Definitely want to be subscribing as we roll into the new PBA season. Listen, if you're not subscribing, you're losing money. That's the bottom line. Because when January rolls around and your boys are back, we got the winning bets over here. Okay. There was a little argument on Twitter this week between me, you, and Belanda. And I interjected Dunleavy into the argument too. Shout to Too Small if he's listening. As who's the best bowling bettor in the world? Those are four names that I think would be in the running if they were given that award out. And obviously I'm going to give the nod to myself, but I'm going to say this: you got two of the four here, right here on Sweep the Rack. A third of the four is in personal contact with us regularly. And the fourth has been a guest on our show. So if you want the real deal information on where you should be wagering your dollars in the bowling game, this is certainly the place to be. So, come make money with us. Check us out. Get your account set up. Get your Bet Rivers account set up. Contact the sports book you use. Tell them you want bowling odds put up. Okay. Yes, Nico. Yeah, the home team sports YouTube thing. Yes, where I said I'm the world's best bowling bettor.
Check it out. Sweep the Rack. I still see that.
What my favorite thing about that was that guy came at me like he was going to clown me, and I clowned him.
Oh, there you go.
He came at me like he was going to make me part of his little clown show he had going on, and I said, no, buddy, I'm the ringleader here. I'm running the circus. I'm clowning you. So...
Hey, and if you guys are able to bet on bowling and you got a Bet Rivers account, reach out to your boy. I'll send you a referral. any of the referral bonus, I'll bet, and I'll give you money if I win. So
No doubt. So, listen, we're off for a few weeks. We'll be back the first Sunday of the new year. And when we're back, we're talking upcoming PBA action. That's where we're
Yes,
going to
sir.
be at. So come join us, enjoy the holiday, and then come join us. Rob, you have a good holiday too.
You too.
Your brothers and everything too. I hope everybody has a good holiday, safe
You too.
travels and whatnot. And
Yep.
I'll have a couple league reports. I'll have a couple league reports for the people when we get back. And hopefully we get this straightened out with the patterns and whatnot. I'll have an update on that. And listen, everybody have a good holiday. Have a good new year. Sweep the rack. We're out for 2024.
Happy
We'll see you in
holiday.
the new year.
Later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big